Hey, everybody. All right. It's great. It's great to have everybody. Thank you so much for being here. As you know, since a couple of weeks before Christmas, the city, between then and now, has hosted 9 major events. The team of people that helped make that happen did an extraordinary job. We have had an incredible run, took a very brief moment off. We have had a team of experts, as you know, last week in Indianapolis, making sure that we continue on with our preparations to host over 100 conventions, another large number of events, culminating with the Super Bowl next year. And so this team has been working overtime. We now are moving into our biggest and our most intense season. As many of us said, the greatest free show on earth, and Mardi Gras is with us. We just finished a tabletop exercise. We have had a large number of organizations, public and private, federal, state, and local, who continue to fine-tune all of our plans to make sure that this Mardi Gras season is very safe and a very happy time. The indications are from all of our tourism professionals that occupancy on the second weekend will be in excess of 90%. So the interest is very high. We also, interestingly enough, have a very large number of inquiries from the international media that are going to be in town the second weekend of Mardi Gras, which, of course, again, indicates that throughout the international community, New Orleans continues to be a great place for people to come visit. So with that, all the eyes of the world are on New Orleans. And it's very important, again, to just speak to the citizens of New Orleans and to the people who are going to be our guests, that it's important to be safe and to be spirited and have fun, but in otherwise make sure that everything goes well. And so together, we are going to make sure that all of the crews are running their parades on time. We have had a great relationship with all of the crews, including the Mardi Gras Indians, and been in constant communication with them. We have standing behind us representatives of the City Council, who I'm thankful are with us today, but also all of the police departments, all the fire departments, EMS, all of the federal, state, and local officials, including the FBI and the ATF, Homeland Security, that have all been working overtime to make sure that the plans that we have in place will be executed with precision. This is obviously a really great time for us. The economic impact is huge. It indicates that for every dollar that's spent, the city and the state see an $8 return. But it's all hands on deck. So we have with us NOP, NOPD, the corrections, the fire department, EMS, enforcement, and sanitation. And each of them will have a chance to speak a little bit about the preparations that they have made. Very excited about it. We feel very good about our preparation. But again, this event cannot work well without the complete and total cooperation of the citizens and the people that are coming. It's a great family event. It's a lot of fun. And although there are lots of rules and regulations, the general ones are very simple. Be civil, be respectful, follow the rules, and be courteous to your fellow parade goers. And if you follow those very basic, simple rules, everything ought to go extremely well. And so I commend that to you. We are really happy to be moving into Mardi Gras seating. It's going to be a very exciting time. Thank you all very much. And I'd now like to have the chief come up and make a couple of comments, followed by Captain Cezanne from the State Police. Chief Parent will be up from the Fire Department, and then Deputy Mayor Thomas, who is the Deputy Mayor responsible for operations. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're very excited about Mardi Gras 2012. We've looked at our 2011 plan. We've seen some things that we want to do a little differently. We've seen a lot of things that we're going to continue to do well. But most importantly, this police department is unquestionably the greatest department on earth at handling large major crowds, and we look forward to 2012 being a great year. All the routes have been cleared and checked by AT&T, Cox, Energy, as well as Parks and Parkways to make sure that our parades and floats can get through the city uninhibited. We want to remind people, it is against the law for anyone in the crowd to throw something back at the float. Please don't do so. Remember, the theme is common sense, common courtesy, common safety. Don't throw anything back at the parade. Don't throw anything back at anyone else in the crowd. Ladders, this has been going on for the 30-plus years I've been a policeman and the 51 years I've lived in part of New Orleans. Ladders have to be back far enough so that if your child sitting at the top of your ladder falls forward, they do not fall into the street. Common sense, common courtesy, common safety. We also recognize that people get incredibly excited about Mardi Gras, as they should. But roping off an area for you, while it is against the law, certainly is much more something that's rude to other revelers who want to see the parade. So consider that carefully. As we talked about last year for the neutral ground on Endymion, please don't bring your kitchen, your living room, your bedroom set, and your next door neighbor's furniture to the Endymion neutral ground. We work with Parks and Parkways, and we'll remove stuff like that. Here's another public safety thing: common sense, common courtesy, common safety. Do not put anything in the neutral ground crossovers, or don't put anything in the cross streets neutral grounds that would prevent a fire truck or an emergency medical services or a police officer from crossing the parade route quickly. So please, just think about that for a moment. Don't put ladders across the side street crossovers. Don't put things that can't be moved quickly, because what if it was your mother or your child or your father on the other side of the parade route that you needed them to get quick police, emergency, or fire help? So please, common sense, common courtesy, common safety. When we go into the Mardi Gras mode, we split the department in half. So basically what happens in the districts is that the 3 shifts are collapsed into 2 12-hour shifts, which means 2/3 of the officers who normally work in the district now work half of the day each. And 1/3 comes out and does the parade route support. So all of our districts, all of our platoons, all of our staffs throughout the city will have 10 officers, 2 sergeants, and a lieutenant working the day watch 12 hours throughout the city, working the night watch 12 hours throughout the city. As we move into the Mardi Gras system downtown into the French Quarter, we have a lot of help. On the second weekend, the state police will bring over 120 people to come down and assist like they've been doing for years. We thank the state police. The Department of Corrections sends their personnel to help us with street closures. We thank the Department of Corrections. We also want to remind everybody, as we do every year, to enhance public safety. Remember, common sense, common courtesy, common safety, is we will initiate the French Quarter street closure on Friday night before Mardi Gras at 6 o'clock, and the street closure will remain in effect until Ash Wednesday at 6 a.m. However, anybody who lives in the French Quarter, anyone who has business in the French Quarter, any livery services in the French Quarter, any taxi cab services in the French Quarter will always be allowed to cross in. That is nothing new, and we always do that. But remember this: at nighttime, when Bourbon Street is wall-to-wall people, which we see every year and celebrate, we cannot let cars travel across Bourbon Street when the crowd is that thick. So basically, we are ready. The police officers are ready. I'm very, very proud of them and the work they do during Mardi Gras. And this year, to continue this idea of increased visibility, every officer on the parade route, every officer in the French Quarter and Canal Street will be wearing that reflective vest. They're easy to see. It makes you feel better. It makes us feel better that we know where everyone is. And we look forward to a great and prosperous Mardi Gras 2012.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for inviting us here today, and thank you for your leadership in this city. It means a lot to us. I'd just like to say that on behalf of Colonel Mike Edmondson of Louisiana State Police, we're honored to serve alongside of our partners this Mardi Gras season to ensure a safe Mardi Gras. We're going to deploy 130 troopers here into the city starting Friday, February 17th, and we'll work through Wednesday, February 22nd. And we're going to primarily be in the French Quarter and Lower Marigny area. We've been meeting with our private and safety partners over the last several weeks, and we're prepared. We feel like we have a good workable plan for this Mardi Gras season, and we look forward to a safe and successful Mardi Gras season. So thank you for inviting us here.
I would be completely remiss if I didn't say how much we appreciate the assistance of Sheriff Marlon Guzman and his entire team. They provide us mobile booking services on the big weekend. They provide us additional mounted support units, and they also provide us additional assistance in the patrol. So please understand how much Sheriff Guzman and his team helped during the Mardi Gras season. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. New Orleans Fire Department will be prepared for Mardi Gras season this year. We will have 30 engines in service, 10 ladder trucks, 2 heavy units, and a hazmat unit in service. We inspect all floats and flambeaus before they parade throughout the city. And also, we'd like to offer some safety tips for those that are going to the parades, to only use costumes that are flame retardant. If you have coals or ashes, to dispose of them properly in a metal container. And when you leave home, to cease cooking and make sure your stove is off before you leave. And as a reminder to everyone in the city of New Orleans, fireworks is illegal in the city of New Orleans. Thank you.
Thank you. We have strengthened the coordination for our cleanup efforts this year. We'll be using more than 90 municipal employees from 7 departments and the Sewerage and Water Board, as well as staff and resources from the DDD, the French Market Corporation, and 8 private contractors. We will utilize more than 300 temporary employees and nearly 100 pieces of heavy equipment, including 6 sweepers that are currently on their way from Chicago. Our goal is that within 3 hours of the end of most of the parades, the parade routes and the first block off of the route will be clear of all debris.
That was Michelle Thomas's first time addressing y'all. In case y'all have any really hard questions for her. Is that it, Jackie? Would you like to say anything?
You knew better than to ask that. That's not a.
That wasn't a trick question.
Okay. That's why I hesitated. Happy Mardi Gras. No city but this city can do it the way we do it. And Mr. Mayor, thank you for your great leadership. It's even better than ever for us to have a Mardi Gras. And the city's bounced back so beautifully, and no occasion shows it like our Mardi Gras shows it. To our police, you are the crowd control masters of America. To our firemen, you are our finest first responders, our jaws of life, and thank you for being a part of our team, the EMS. Thank you to the state police for not only being here, but thanking us for inviting them. And they come and work, and they're a masterful help. Thank you, Marlon Gussman. And thank you to all of the city employees that Deputy Mayor Thomas just talked about. Sometimes we forget to thank all of the department heads and all of the employees that are on the job 24/7. Thank you, thank you, thank you from a grateful city. And so on behalf of the whole city council, here's to a great Mardi Gras, and we're proud to be partners with our mayor and the administration in the best ever Mardi Gras. Thank you.
Just a couple of final comments. It takes thousands of public employees, both federal, state, and local, to put this event on in partnership with, obviously, all of the individuals that are parts of the crews. And it's an all-hands-on-deck proposition. As many of you know, we are preparing for the Super Bowl. We are really working hard to make sure that as Mardi Gras unfolds, that we understand exactly what has to happen. There is no detail, hopefully, that has gone overlooked. I mean, from the time that somebody comes into the airport to when they get downstairs to they go through the baggage claim, how much time they're going to spend in line. The TSA has been involved with us for making sure that the waits are reasonable. They have extra staff, too, all the way from getting into the city, the way the concierges are working and taking people into the hotels. So you have the tourism folks as well. And then, of course, all of the individuals up here spoke about the unbelievable cooperation that has occurred. It requires a lot of work. And there are a lot of folks that are going to be all hands on deck between now and then. So, again, to the public, this is really in your hands. This is an opportunity for us to have a really safe time. And the best way to do that is to be thoughtful and respectful and to be courteous and to make sure that everybody has fun. And if we come with that spirit, it's going to be a wonderful time for all of us. So I commend it to you. Happy Mardi Gras, everybody. And I'm sure we'll have a wonderful time. With that, let me open it up to questions, if directed to whoever you would like to.
I'm selfishly looking for a lead for this story. Give me something new this year in the city. What do you have anything like a new process or a new way of doing things that you can talk about?
No, this is just, as my grandma would say, elbow grease, where we meet continually and continue to go over and over and over again. The intricate details and downline logistics and coordination of making sure that not only are we ready for just the regular stuff, but we're ready if something bad happens as well.
You know, people were very surprised that they weren't allowed to have their portalettes on the neutral grounds and other things. So is there like a... No
surprises this year. You can bring your portalette, Paul.
Is there a list somewhere where people can see what they can bring and what they cannot?
No, we're just going to ask people to use common sense. I think the chief talked about a couple of these things. If you rope off an area and don't let anybody get there, and put a tent and put a house and put your kitchen sink and then nobody can get there, you're going to get asked to take that down. If you bring all your furniture and put it on the neutral ground, you're going to get asked to move. If you park your car in a place where it's not supposed to be, that would be like right on the corner. You know how sometimes we do that diagonally? People are just going to park it right on the thing and they hope that that's okay? That's not okay. We know that. If you park it in somebody else's driveway, that's a problem too. And so if you get a ticket, don't complain, because we're going to be enforcing things of that nature as well. So again, just use common courtesy. If you decide that you want to have a barbecue, and instead of bringing one of your little barbecue pits, you bring one of those big old barrels and then have a flame coming out of that's 10 feet high, we think that's not a good idea, right? So again, use common courtesy and just be respectful and think about the safety of your children. Again, as the chief said, if you have a ladder and that ladder falls over, you don't want that ladder to fall in the pathway of the wheel of a float. So use common courtesy and safety for your children, and to be thoughtful, and that generally will get you to a fairly safe, wonderful place. If a police officer walks up to you and asks you to move, based on prior experience as a teenager, I would encourage you to move, right? Because they're going to be working. You know what that's like. You laughing, huh? Because so I mean, that kind of stuff. And I don't think there's anything new here. One of the things, we obviously, because this happens every year, our public safety people have developed a great expertise for managing crowds. I can tell you that every place where I go, where I talk to mayors or I talk to police chief, they really are amazed at the police departments and the fire departments, everybody's ability to do this. But really, a lot of it depends on the crowds, having fun and doing what they're supposed to do. And we're just going to do more and do better of what it is that we do every year. And, every year we can see areas of improvement, and I'm sure we'll find some this year, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you. Yes.
Chief, it seems, unfortunately, like every year, some night, whatever night it is, at least one, we hear about a parade shooting. What can your typical fun-loving, law-abiding resident do out on the parade route if something just doesn't feel right?
Great question.
Yeah, certainly. Whenever you feel uncomfortable or unnatural around you, give us a call. We got police all over the parade route. So we'd be there. We'd answer the 911 call immediately. Last year, as I recall, was an incredibly good Mardi Gras. We had a wonderful event. We had a wonderful series of nights where we had little to no problems. And basically, common sense, common courtesy, common safety. If you feel uncomfortable, give us a holler. We'll be right there. We got plenty of resources in the field to answer with this. All of our officers will be wearing the reflective vests, which I'm sure makes them love me even more. But I mean, that reflective vest, you can see it for blocks, and it makes people feel more comfortable. And it also sends the message that we are there, omnipresent, everywhere. Think about back during BCS. I mean, you couldn't look 10 feet without seeing that vest.
Let me just add to that. The FBI is not. Are they here with us? They were with us in our. The FBI made a special request that if you see anything that you think doesn't fit, or just for some reason doesn't look right, walk up to a police officer and tell them. That is really important, and of course that's true for anything that you might see that you think is out of the ordinary. The police will be very, very visible. There will be many of them, and they will be available at all times. And that would be true if you think you see somebody with a weapon, or if it's true if you see something that's untoward. The best, way to fight this stuff is for everybody to be all ears and all eyes, if they can be.
And
Eileen, and then we'll go back to Paul.
we aggressively look for guns and found a bunch. So we'll do that.
Yeah. Well, I'll let the chief answer this, but they're undercover police officers and other folks that what they do during Mardi Gras is walk around specifically, having their eyes open for individuals that may have weapons.
Right,
That's what I was going to ask the chief about undercover, and then you said that you were looking at 2011 and you're going to make some changes in 2012, so those are just general ones.
Sure. Well, back to that first point, and I'm glad that Michelle and Andy Copley reminded me. We pay very close attention to having police officers in non-traditional looks who are actually looking for those people who come to the parade for the wrong reasons with bad intent. And we find them. And last year we found more than we did the year before, and we'll look again this year, every parade, up and down the route too. It's not just in the quarter and on Canal Street. We go up and down the entire route. When you look at these major events and you go back and you debrief them, you always find some place where you could tighten up a little bit. We could do a little bit of better job with this piece on sanitation, or we could have done a little better job with the undercover piece in a different part of the city. What we want the public to know, and the mayor talked about it a few minutes ago, these events require a continual reassessment of what you're doing. We do not rest on the fact that we're great at this, and we think we are. We rest on the fact that every day we're going to try to find a way to be a little better than we were the day before, the year before, and the year before. So the officers are going to be doing an incredible amount of work this year that we want them to be very visible. We want you to know they're there, and please call upon them if you're concerned about anything.
Paul.
And how will the curfew
Well, there's a curfew on media for 8 p.m. Our citywide curfew is what it is. It's 11 o'clock at night, and that will continue to be enforced as it is. The French Quarter curfew is now 8 o'clock. And please rest assured, folks, please rest assured, we actively look for curfew to protect children and then also to protect them from hurting anyone else. But we do it with a pretty smart method. In other words, if we find a young man or a young woman who's clearly from another city, we're going to find their parent. And we almost always do. And if we don't, then we'll have to deal with them. And we do the same thing for our kids. If we can find their parent first, we'd much rather do that because that's where the correction and the corrective action is probably the most effective. So no matter who we find, we're going to look for their parents first. If we can't find them, then we will have to take it to the next step.
Can you clarify what the law is again, just so people at home know?
7 days a week in the area of the French Quarter and up to Frenchman is 8 p.m. is the curfew, 7 days a week. In the rest of the city, it's 11 o'clock. And then on Friday and Saturday, 11 o'clock, and then on Friday and Saturday, I think it moves to midnight.
Teenagers, what age?
17 and under. Under 17.
Who are not with their parents?
Who are not with their parent or not doing something with a school event or a religious event. So again, you know, the officers are going to make sure that they have someone that cannot fit in any of those criteria. And if they don't, then we're going to look for parents. If we can't find parents and guardians, then we're going to take them to the curfew center.
All right, take a little more. Chief, is there going to be any change in the deployment pattern of the officers, specifically lower, what do you call it, Mardi Triangle area?
Yes.
Frenchman, are we going to see an increased presence over there?
I'm glad you brought that up. Look, the Frenchmen and the Mardi have a wonderful weekend every weekend. And the people who go into that part of town generally are more of the local New Orleanians. And they really know all the rules about Mardi Gras and how to enjoy themselves and have a great time. We will have coverage in the Mardi and the Triangle. We know if we've re-expanded our districts, the 8th district now goes all the way to Franklin. So there's more continuity. During the Mardi Gras season, we have plainclothes operations that will be in the Mardi and the Triangle, just like they'll be in the rest of the part of the city. And there will be uniform patrol. Every one of the districts will have at least 10 officers who are answering the radio from the 12-hour shifts with 3 supervisors. So we're going to be all throughout that part of the city. The Marigny is a wonderful part of our community, and it's growing every year. Last year I flew over the Marigny in a helicopter, and I ain't that bright, but I couldn't distinguish between the Marigny and Bourbon Street. I mean, it was just that much of a crowd of people down there having a wonderful time.
Last one, Michelle.
Chief, I think you said 10 officers, 2 sergeants, and a lieutenant in all districts on the 12-hour shifts.
Yes.
This is a time of year when a lot of people are gone. You know, at nighttime, all during the day. I think, you know, if I was going to be scoping out a house, I might do it at, you know, even on Mardi Gras Day, because who's going to be home? What can residents do to protect their property while they're away out enjoying parades, probably not standing right in front
The way they do when they leave every day to go to work, or when they go away on the weekends, or they come down any time of the day to go anywhere else in the community. Remember, protect your property, lock it up, crime prevention through environmental design. There are police everywhere. Call. If you see something suspicious in your neighborhood or your neighbor's house, give us a call. Let us run over there and take a look at that really quickly. So again, it's just regular safety precautions and so forth. During the Mardi Gras season, we get busy, but it's primarily around the crowded areas, and it's really not in the rest of the city. I can take a look at the data, but it's just generally the same.